In an ABC7 exclusive, the 7 on Your Side I-Team discovered district taxpayers are on the hook for more than $2 million in repairs. This after 7 ladder trucks with the D.C. Fire Department failed inspections. A 7 on Your Side investigator Chris Pabst explains the cost could easily have been avoided.
In a city with a skyline marked by cranes and the mid-rises they construct, those living above the second floor depend on ladder trucks in an emergency.
We need to have the appropriate vehicles and the tools to do our job.
And you don't now.
Right, we don't now.
This past summer, 40% of the district's ladder trucks failed inspection due to a lack of maintenance, which 7 on Your Side has learned will now cost taxpayers $250,000 a truck to fix, totaling $2.3 million. Some ladders are so damaged, they're going back to the manufacturer near Green Bay, a rare move for a fire department. This DC fire truck is one of the first to be sent to Wisconsin to be repaired. And you can see right here on the ladder itself how rust has accumulated over time where the glove is supposed to be. Now the glove has already been cut off, and you can see how over the years rust has accumulated. It has been deteriorating as this glove has not been properly maintained. This July 31st inspection for Ladder 9 obtained by ABC7 shows it failed on 17 points, but up until the day of that inspection, that truck was in service.
The ladder itself has been compromised, it has broken bolts, and you guys are on this thing.
Correct. We have nothing else.
The fleet has been so neglected, the I-Team also learned 18 of the district's 28 ladder trucks have recently been out of service, which has contributed to delayed response times. From July to December, the number of calls that took DC Fire longer than 12 minutes to respond to nearly tripled.
95% of it was avoidable.
Are these trucks being properly maintained now?
Eugene Jones is the interim DC Fire Chief.
I would say yes.
Why wasn't the maintenance being done?
Well, I've only been here a year. Previous to that, I can't speak to.
Jones did take over a department in shambles. This November 2013 audit slams DC Fire for not having a maintenance plan. But recently, Jones says an in-station program has been created. Plus, more mechanics are being hired and new inspection standards have been adopted.
This is something that shouldn't happen again.
It should not happen again, absolutely.
More trouble for the beleaguered D.C. Fire Department. The 7 on Your Side I-Team investigation has revealed that response times to emergencies are still lagging, even after Mayor Bowser made big changes back in March. Watchdog investigator Chris Pabst dug into the numbers.
For the last 8 years, life for David Hooks has been a struggle. In 2007, he was hit by a drunk driver and paralyzed.
So my life changed dramatically because I'm used to being self-sufficient.
Now, Hooks relies on his family and full-time aid. He also relies on emergency services. And last month, he needed help when in the middle of a heat wave, the 45-year-old's body seized up.
I thought I was going to die.
Phone records indicate Hooks first dialed 911 at 8:15, then again at 8:25 and 8:28. But DC Fire EMS told the I-Team it has no record of those calls, even though they lasted a combined 12 minutes. An ambulance did arrive at 8:37, 22 minutes after Hooks's first cry for help. All this with a fire station just 3 blocks away.
They should have figured it out by now that, hey, something is wrong.
Slow response times have recently made headlines. Just in March, 2 stabbing victims and a young boy choking on a grape had extended waits. The boy later died.
Do you feel public safety is being jeopardized?
I do. DC Fire has contributed to the loss of some of those lives.
Kenneth Lyons, a 29-year EMT in D.C., says the problem is that 85% of calls are for EMS, but most crews are staffed by firefighters, also trained as EMTs, who work 24-hour shifts, as opposed to just EMTs, who work 12.
I think you're looking at pretty much fatigue.
In March, Mayor Muriel Bowser added 10 ambulances and upgraded the computer systems. 3 months later, the I-Team wanted to know if it's worked. This bar represents total late responses in the first quarter of 2015. This bar represents the second quarter, after the changes, a slight decrease, but nearly double from just 1 year earlier.
I think it's time for a change in philosophy.
Do you agree with that?
I would say it differently.
Gregory Dean, the new fire chief, took over in March, the third chief in 2 years. Dean says the biggest problem leading to delayed responses is equipment. There aren't enough trucks. They're overused and can't be properly maintained. That leads to breakdowns, crews being out of position, and a lack of proper training. He's looking at options, but a fix won't be quick.
The responsible party is the fire chief. And so my job is to make sure this happens. The citizens, the ones that are receiving the service, will be the judge of how well we do.
I mean, EMS service need to get it right. They say some got to die so others can live, and I mean, I don't want to be a part of that.
Now, Chief Dean went on to say the department is looking to buy more trucks and adjust staffing. He doesn't have a timeline to complete those improvements that he has planned. He just wants to see continued progress, foremost being a decrease in response times.
This story you will see only on 7, and this is a good one. Over the past year, it seems DC Fire and EMS has been in the headlines for all the wrong reasons. With lagging response times, breaking equipment, the department's been under fire. But while reporting on its many problems, ABC 7 investigative reporter Chris Pabst found a truly inspiring story that has never been told but deserves to be.
Bye. Not too many kids for their 5th birthday get their own fire suit. But not too many kids have a story like William Brooks. The morning of March 29th, 2014, a tremendous fire ripped through this row home on Stevens Road Southeast, with dozens of firefighters on scene.
It was a hot fire.
Lieutenant James Gordon rushed inside, looking for victims.
I just went in the bedroom and found William in there, unconscious.
Do you think he was dead?
Yeah.
With William in his arms, Gordon rushed through the flames towards a waiting ambulance. The boy's grandmother and a family friend lay dead inside. His severely burned mother had jumped out a window, breaking her leg.
I don't remember anything because I passed out.
I kind of panicked a little bit.
No one should have made it out.
How much longer do you think he would have had before you got him?
It wouldn't have been much longer.
Oftentimes, this is where the story ends, but not here. Shortly after the fire, Lieutenant Gordon went to the hospital to meet the boy he saved.
It's like something you would never think would happen. But then the outcome of it was like something you never think would happen.
Since this moment in the hospital, William and Gordon have built a relationship few can truly understand. They boat together, ride four-wheelers, attend ball games, and go to the movies. Last week, they even went to the White House. Gordon's not in this picture. He's taking it.
He always gonna be my best friend.
For William, Lieutenant Gordon has become an inspiration.
What do you want to be when you grow up?
Five.
In William, Gordon sees himself. When he was 9, he was pulled from a fire, which inspired him.
Captain who pulled me out, he was actually my chief when I started there. So maybe someday I'll be William's chief.
A maybe. They could be just 13 birthdays away.
That's why I want to be a firefighter, because they're great and never give up and help people.
Chris Pabst, ABC 7 News.
Oh, man, what a story.
911 is supposed to be there for you when you need it. But district officials say that 911 abuse is threatening public safety. The lack of ambulances for real emergencies has become so alarming that D.C. is going to have to add private rescue crews to the district's fleet. But that move is still months away. ABC 7 watchdog investigator Chris Pabst dug into the numbers and found out what's being done to keep you and your family safe right now.
This sign is a grim reminder of what happened in early September at this Southeast D.C. home. An infant was sick. 911 was called, but no ambulance was available. The child died. Neighbor Edward Bragg watched the tragedy unfold.
It is a high concern because this is happening all around the city.
It could have been my life.
Makia Terrence faced a similar tragedy in Northeast D.C. In mid-September, the 16-year-old went into life-threatening anaphylactic shock. Her mother called 911. 14 terrifying minutes later, an ambulance arrived.
And I'm like, well, how long does it take? Where are they?
We need to work collectively to try to address this problem because it's not going to go away.
That problem, according to the firefighters union, is that 911 is being abused by people who call with non-emergencies.
Stub toe, a toothache, it runs the gambit, anything and everything.
And you're taking these people to the hospital?
Yeah.
To the ER?
Yeah.
In an ambulance?
That's correct.
The I-Team analyzed all the 911 calls DC Fire and EMS received in 1 month, May of 2015. Of the more than 14,000 calls, half were deemed low priority or non-emergencies. But most of those patients were still transported by an ambulance to the ER. Among them, 41 for allergies, 31 for headaches, 28 for eye problems.
It's a huge, huge amount of resources expended unnecessarily.
To help preserve those resources, DC Fire runs 2 street call units, which identify and work with repeat callers, one of whom was taken by ambulance to the ER nearly 340 times just last year.
They create a risk to public safety. I mean, they are tying up units that could be available to respond to true emergencies.
DC hospitals are also doing their part. United Medical Center reorganized its entire ER to help reduce the number of trucks often lined up outside.
One of our main goals is to get these ambulances back to the city.
Not scared of needles, right?
UMC also recently launched its second mobile health clinic for wards 7 and 8.
A lot of our patients tend to not have transportation. They're calling the ambulance just to get a taxi in a sense.
A taxi that's often free. In DC, patients rarely pay for ambulance rides to the ER, which cost up to $1,100. So it's cheaper to take an ambulance than a cab.
These are all important pieces of the puzzle to restoring the department and making us great again, and to be able to handle the true emergencies.
Some cities fine people who abuse the 911 system. DC does not. Here, each trip to the hospital is either paid for by the department or insurance, Medicare, or Medicaid. The district does have a system to collect money from people, but it is rarely used. In DC, Chris Pabst, ABC7.